All right, we are back, episode 53. I'm here with my boy Georgie. Georgie, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. It's a good day. It's
a very good day for Liverpool, for the most part.
Yeah.
Straight into the shout-outs. What do you got?
I got no one.
No one? Again?
Nobody, man.
As you guys can see, no big deal. Coach Javi won the Reds Invitational with my 2012 Liverpool girls. So for those that don't know, it's kind of funny because I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm an Arsenal supporter. You guys know that if you've been listening to the podcast. However, my job, I coach at Liverpool International Academy in Michigan. And today, or this weekend, crowned champions of the world of the Reds Invitational. My girls balled out. My 2012 girls balled out. So huge shout out to my girls. Got the dub.
Oh, because of murder ball all week.
We did play murder ball in preseason. Love a good murder ball. Girls love it too because I told them after it, I was like, "You're gonna do fitness. Would you rather do fitness by playing the game or fitness running on the line?" What's your response?
I'm going to that line, baby.
Murder ball, baby. They did look at me and they were like, I told them the rules of murder ball, right? And I was like, and there's no fouls either. And they just looked around like, what does that mean? I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna call fouls. You kick each other. You can kick each other a little bit. And they did, surprisingly. They did. But after it's over, we're good.
So how many red cards did you have this weekend?
I had 0 red cards, but they played very, very well. So I'm happy about that. Speaking of Liverpool, Georgie, how you feel? Another 2-0 win, right?
Yeah.
First week they got a 2-0 win as well. We were talking before this podcast about Arne Slot's halftime tactical genius changes once again into effect today, huh?
Yeah, big time. I mean, to be honest, the Ipswich game more compared to this one because today I thought for the first 30 minutes we were pretty much in control of the game. For 5 to 10 minutes, Brentford woke up a little bit, had two really good, well, I wouldn't say really good chances, but had 2 chances. And then Liverpool back on top the last 5-6 minutes of the first half. Then complete domination the second half again. And listen, the numbers don't lie. From 5 shots to 15 shots, that's from one half to the other. It's a big difference. And not just that, just a bit more free flowing football, I would say. But like the 2 words that come to my mind when you think about Liverpool's performance today, composed and calculated. Those are the 2 keywords. Yeah, really good start. 2 games, 2 wins, 4 goals, 2 clean sheets, and the stat that I told you a bit earlier, 92% success rate of their passing for Liverpool today. And that is the best since 2003, 2004 in the Premier League.
It's impressive. I don't want to nitpick at the negative stuff or potentially negative, the way you look at it, whichever way you want to look at it. Arne Slot not necessarily going over and fist bumping with the fans like Jurgen Klopp would have done. What do you make out of that and his relationship with the supporters so far?
The guy's all business. It's just straight business. Against Ipswich, that was a lot of criticism. He got on social media because he did not go and wave to the away fans, and some people were upset, some weren't. I'm one of those people. It's like you're your own person, man. Like, do whatever you got to do. I'm glad that he's not actually trying to copy Jurgen Klopp because I'd feel a bit off by that because you can't replicate Jurgen Klopp. You can't be that person. You can't be that manager. You can't have that style. So just be yourself, be your own person, and whatever happens, but just own whoever you think you are, and I'm good with it. And for the most part, I think people understand. And he even came out in the press conference and said, like, guys, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to come and do fist bumps. That's just not who I am. But today he gave some waves and thumbs up, and people like that.
How do you feel like the performances so far in the first 2 games? You've played against teams that, to be honest, are going to be pretty close to the bottom of the table for the most part. How do you feel like their performances in the first 2 games compare to Arsenal and Manchester City, who are right now 2 of the teams that are probably the favorites to win the Premier League? Are you guys on par with them, or do you still feel like you'd want to probably wait a little bit before playing one of those teams when you're like a little bit more in form?
Yeah, I mean, those two teams at the moment, I would say, are just the top. And then you have Liverpool and Chelsea, who are going through the motions with a new manager, trying to figure, obviously the players are trying to figure out how to play. And there's still so many things that you got to work on top of literally every single player needs to get their, match fitness and sharpness back, just because it's still so early on, 2 games in. But Liverpool, they look okay. They look okay in the grand scheme of things. If we're just looking at those 2 games, I'm really pleased of what I see, just because I can see the tactical differences and the tactical style that Arne Slot wants to bring into Liverpool. But there's still so many things that, like, he talks to them nonstop. Like, if there's like somebody gets down injured, he brings 3 or 4 players. He needs to talk to them, explain like what he's looking for, what he wants them to do. He subs them off, and today he subbed Trent off. And I don't know exactly what minute, maybe 10, 15 minutes to go, Trent wasn't happy at all. So he sat on the bench next to him. He's like, he was explaining to him like the reasons of why. And I assume it's because, 1, he didn't have a preseason, and 2, you're running 2-0. You don't need to destroy his legs for no reason. And I think the main management with a fairly thin squad is going to be key for Liverpool this season, because there's no need. If you can say 10, 15 minutes legs on 2 or 3 of your best players in the beginning stages of the season, then in the middle, towards the end of the season, they're going to be a lot fresher than everybody else.
So I think that's going to be a big one for Liverpool, is how well the medical team performs. Honestly, because you guys have a thin roster. You guys are, dare I say, 1 injury away from not a bad season, but your midfield is already kind of a makeshift midfield. Gravenberch is not your starting choice if you really think about it. McAllister is, and Soboslai is a person that you're also putting in there just kind of to fill the role, because you don't really have somebody else. Because I think he would be more of, or at least have a second person underneath Soboslai that would make you guys feel a little bit more comfortable. One of them goes down, and then you're back to having like Endo, for example, and Endo wasn't the best player in the preseason. That's not somebody you want to start. So your medical team has a really tough job ahead of them when they haven't really been performing over the last few years, because you guys always struggle.
And Curtis Jones out today, groin injury.
Yeah. So that's, I think, where you guys are really going to struggle. The transfer window is almost closed. It's closing soon. You guys have to make sure that you get at least 1 or 2 signings in. If not as a starting player, somebody for when, these players go down, that you guys have somebody that's, instead of bringing in your academy kids again like you did last season. So that's I think, is going to be a big struggle. What would you say are some of the things that you guys really need to work on right now? Like, what would make you happy for you guys to improve right now where you're at?
In terms of transfers, or just like tactical?
Tactical gameplay.
I think it's very hard to point one thing out, just because I think when we do have the ball and when we are attacking, everything looks good. Like, I think for the most part, people, like the players, like Salah looks really good whenever he gets on the ball in those positions that Arne Slot puts him in. Jota looks amazing. Luis Diaz has been absolutely, like today was sensational. And I for the most part, it's really good. The only thing I would say is, and it's really, really annoying, is the fact that in the 2 games so far, Liverpool will have a corner or a set piece. They take it, the ball gets played out, and somehow, some way, at least I want to say in the 2 games, like 6 or 7 times, Liverpool get countered. I don't know if it's just unlucky. I don't know if it's the positioning, because when you watch it on TV, you don't really see how it's set up in the background, compared to, because obviously the camera just follows where the ball goes. So they take the corner and you don't really see what everybody else is doing. But today, from a corner, the ball gets headed out. Somebody has the ball, tries to play the ball to Soboslai. It bounces. One of the Brentford players just nicks it off him, sprints 20 yards. So that's the negative part. The positive is Soboslai sprints his ass back and gets back and delays, and which gives time for 4 or 5 Liverpool players to come back with those recovery runs, which is the positive from the negative in terms of, yes, we've had 6 or 7 not so great, times in terms of like the transitional defending from our own set piece. However, the recovery runs have been amazing. And I think, as we talked about before, I think that is part of the reason why it works is because of Arne Slot's just being composed on the ball and keep the ball for longer periods of time instead of up and down where the players get a little bit more tired. Now you conserve your energy when you have the ball just because you're going side to side. You're waiting for the right time instead of obviously like under Jurgen Klopp was a bit more direct, heavy metal. The midfield players were just the runners and everybody else was like staying up a little bit. So there are differences, but they're also very similar in a way. So.
Yeah. Before we move on to a different team, I wanted to ask your opinion of Darwin Núñez because you said he's easing him in. I feel like it's getting to the point where it's clear that Jota is a preferred starter over Darwin Núñez. Darwin Núñez only played, 20 minutes, somewhere around 20 minutes in today's match, right? Do you think Arne Slot really is easing him in? Because he did say at the beginning, apparently he thought he was going to be, he said that Darwin Núñez was going to be the target man for them, right? Jota's a good player, and I think Jota's, I wouldn't say he's better, but he brings you something different than Darwin Núñez brings you. And clearly right now, that's what Arne Slot is picking. The other thing is, he put Darwin Núñez in when you guys were already up 2-0, was it? Do you think he still makes that change if you guys are 0-0? Or do you think he keeps Jota in to try and get a goal? Because once you're up 2-0, it's easier to give him a little bit more playing time. But if you guys would have been tied, do you think he still makes that change?
I think so. Just because I do remember the commentators were saying, oh, Gakpo and Darwin Núñez taking their stuff off, warming up like on the side, and it was still like 1-0 at the time. So they were like still warming up, getting all that. So you never really know if he was going to make it, but I personally think so. And I think when Darwin came on, it's a different Darwin. The reason why Jota's preferred and is because Jota's so good at getting the ball to his feet. He's really good technically and just overall really good player. But he can back down a defender, even though he's like one of the smaller players on the field. He can back somebody down and be a target man as well, just like Salah. And I think that's part of Arne Slot's tactical, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but style of play. But I mean, when we went to watch Liverpool play, do you remember when Liverpool passing the ball around inside their own box? For example, I don't know, the goalkeeper had it playing out to the right and just short passing, lured the opposition to come and press. And as soon as they saw Salah's 1-on-1, and then now it's Salah, Jota, Luis Diaz. As soon as they see their 1-on-1, they just do a little chip over 4 or 5 of the players of that position. Salah can hold the ball up, Jota can hold the ball up, and I think that's key in what Arne Slot likes to do because it's just a way out, and you're isolating one of your best players 1-on-1. You do it every single time. But when Darwin came on, he's actually composed on the ball. Like, Darwin is chaos. Like, that's what Darwin is known for. That's why he's so good in terms of, like, he just runs in behind and makes the defenders think twice of stepping up or whatever. It's just a havoc to be around. But today he came on and I was like, wow, is this like the new, what Arne Slot is working with Darwin in terms of like how to get him up to speed to work in the system? Because he came on, ball pinged, like mid to his chest, chested down, passes it, lays it off, makes the run, gets it again, give and go with Salah. And I was like, I have not seen this Darwin Núñez. And it's only 20 minutes, so you can't really make too much out of it. But I just didn't, like, when I thought Arne Slot is coming in here and work with Núñez, I thought it's going to be more of the same of get the ball wide to Trent or Salah, and then Darwin makes the runs in behind and kind of creates the space for everybody else. But today he was really good. But I don't think there's anything in... I actually think at some point we might see Jota and Darwin together, just because I think even from last year, they were sensational when they were together. So...
It's a good start of the season for Liverpool, but it should be expected because they played against two teams that they should take care of.
Next weekend at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean the test.
Speaking of going to Old Trafford, Manchester United just lost to Brighton in a game that probably should have ended in a draw. I think that would have been a fair result. Obviously, Brighton get the goal late at the end. Brighton's a very good team. Did a little analysis about why I think Ten Hag should not be sacked, because entertaining football in Manchester United don't typically haven't gone in the same sentence in a long time. Finally, it is. I really do believe, if we want to start the conspiracy section again, I really do believe that Ineos sat down with Ten Hag and said, you have to at least play entertaining football because we can't support you if you suck and nobody knows what your playing style is. So I think they're trying to do it. I also think they're going to ease Delit in to replace Harry Maguire. I think that's what he probably wants to do. I think he's going to want to keep Martinez as a center back, and Martinez, to be fair, has been playing pretty well. Newfound role for Bruno Fernandes, playing as that striker / false nine, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's just going to be up to Rashford whether Rashford performs at the same level. But then you got some interesting people like Ahmad, who's
he's a baller, man.
He's a baller, but he's still raw, isn't he?
The first half, yes. In the second half, obviously scored the goal, but in the previous game, he was one of the better players. Like I really rate that kid. Yeah. I think he is still raw. Don't get me wrong.
He's dangerous, but you can tell he's got more to his game that he needs to develop and sharpen up a little bit.
He did get that goal.
Yeah, he did. But Brighton's such a hard team to play against, man. Brighton's such a good team. Very, very smart decisions. They have some really good players. I think I was telling you, right? The person that you guys should be going after right now is Billy Gilmore. Billy Gilmore.
He's gone.
He's
Napoli.
Is it official?
I
or
think
is it still like links
like
are
his
still
agent, personal terms are agreed. It's just a matter of like how much Napoli are paying, the installments and all that. So it's very much. I do like Billy Gilmore was the best player on that field.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's hard to do that when you're a lone six. It's a little bit easier when you can.
Hold up, wait.
He was a lone six. Don't tell me he wasn't, because every
my
time
boy
you guys.
James Milner's everywhere, man.
James Milner was an 8 because he's a box to box.
Yeah, but he's a G. When you have James Milner on that team, he makes Billy Gilmore better.
Sure, but in the build-up, which is what I really rate, in the build-up, and especially that's going to be such a key area for Liverpool, is if he was so comfortable playing in as a 6, getting the ball and bouncing it around, where I think that's where Endo really struggles. Yeah. Is like being the guy who's going to be the lone 6 and bouncing it around without losing it. Billy Gilmore just looked so good. And obviously, Brighton style, when you have somebody like Billy Gilmore who's confident on the ball, and then you have a James Milner who's going to do a little bit more running around and like taking some of the pressure off of you, I think that's a really good combination. However, back to my point, Manchester United playing some entertaining football, I think they're starting to get it together. I said I don't think that they should sack Ten Hag, because I think at some point they have to settle down. But I'm still not fully convinced he's the right guy. So don't get me wrong. I'm not sure if he's the right guy. I just think it's starting to look a little bit more positive. People were giving me shit in the comment section about some of the changes that he's made, the tactical changes. Listen, Anthony is finally on the bench, which he should be. Garnacho can come on as a spark when you need him. All right. And I think Delit is going to give you a little bit more experience once they've fully eased him in to the team. And then you got Xerxes, right? Ahmad's playing well. So the future is bright for Manchester United. I think they'll finish relatively high in the table. But don't get me wrong, Brighton is going to be in that same race. The best performing team this weekend. There's one.
Chelsea?
Absolutely.
Wait. Before we even get to Chelsea. Wait. First of all, James Milner, there's no way he's 38 years old.
Here we go.
There's no way the guy's 38. He's running way more than half the Manchester United team. 2, I'm Ten Hag again for the rest of my life. I want that guy to stay. Please.
You like him, huh?
I love him.
I know you don't. I know you like him for the wrong reasons.
I like him. I love him for the wrong reasons. I want him to stay for life. Please, Manchester United, keep that man forever. I'm telling you, I need that guy to stay, because he's going to give you one good game. He's going to give you an okay game, and he's going to give you 3 crap games. But anyway, besides that, and by the way, that game is on him. The reason Brighton lost. Those subs that he made to take him, as soon as he took Bruno off, everything fell apart for Manchester United. And on top of that, give credit to I don't know the guy's name. I probably should. Brighton's manager. He's like 31 years old. That's impressive.
The youngest manager in the Premier League, in history of the Premier League.
And I will also say this. Brighton did not play that good. I don't think Brighton played good compared to what we know Brighton to be able to play. And on top of that, they're missing 4 of their transfers. 4 players that are gonna elevate this team to new levels. So I'm excited to watch Brian. Brian is my team. Obviously, when we talked about it a few weeks ago, Brian is my team to watch, and I'm starting to become a Brian fan. Like Liverpool are here, and then you have Brian as a low second. But it was a good game overall. But Delit, Martinez, what do you the last goal?
Yeah. I mean, there's just the whole defense in general.
There was 9 or I don't know about 9, 7 or 8 players Manchester United on one side of the box.
Yeah,
that's
sure. There's some areas that they need to fix. My basic point is just the football is entertaining. You can see that they have a playing style. They got players in different positions that, like Bruno Fernandes, for example, that you can see what they're trying to do with him being placed in that position. So I think patience. So all I'm trying to say for the Manchester United fans out there is just calma.
Oh, no need for patience. Keep him in. There's no need. Just keep the guy in.
Ineos, I've said this a million times. I'll say it one more time. Ineos does not mess around, and they're going to sort it out. And if Ten Hag loses that entertaining style of football, results are all over the place, they'll sack him. They'll get rid of him. But I think they're giving him a chance. I think they're fair enough to give him a chance.
Good.
But back to Chelsea, the highest performing or the best performing team. First of all, let me just say this. For Fantasy Premier League, we'll get to the Fantasy Premier League segment in a little bit. I put Haaland as my captain. I did triple captain points. I used the triple, which you did as well.
Yeah.
I didn't know you did that. I was wondering why you got so many points for Haaland, which was pretty. It's a low risk play if you think about it, because he was playing against Ipswich, because you knew he was always going to score a hat trick in that game. But I also had Cole Palmer, and he got a hat trick of assists and a goal. My boy Cole Palmer. Rate Chelsea's performance and tell me what it means for the Chelsea supporters and for Maresca.
Look. Let's just relax a little bit. Let Chelsea fans. I've been Maresca in, and I told you I like Maresca. Like the whole preseason when they hired him, I'm a huge fan. But this game does not tell me too much, just because Wolves, or I think Wolves gonna be one of the teams down there. I don't know how Joe said Wolves gonna be one of the teams for him to watch. The man said that they're gonna be one of the teams that potentially got top 8 or something. No chance. Wolves are not gonna be anywhere near that, I don't think. I think they've lost too many good players. I do rate Gary O'Neill, but Chelsea, let's see. The first half was very even, and I think the way Chelsea started the game, I actually thought it was going to be like a 5-6-0 game, just because Wolves are so poor in the first 10-15 minutes. And then somehow, some way, Wolves just like woke up, and then it was like end-to-end game where one team should have scored, the other team should have scored, neither scored, and then one goal here, and just back and forth. And then the first half was 2-2. And both teams had really good chances in the first half. So the game could have been 4-4 at one point, or 5-5. So in the first half. And then second half, just, I don't know. This is what I'm confused at. I don't know how much credit do I give Chelsea in terms of, because all the goals were the same. Literally all the goals were the same. Cole Palmer, top of the box, lays it off or slides. Doesn't even slide him in, just gives the ball to him. He cuts in 2-3 touches, scores. Madueke. So it's like the same goal 3 or 4 times, which is great, but it was some very dribbling out of the back from Wolves on one of them. Alt-Nouri, I have, like, attacking-wise, amazing player. The assist he got in the first half was great. But as a left back, just defending, Fofana got past him. When a center back gets past you, and when you're the left back, you know you're in trouble. Like, that's some bad defending. And he wasn't even there for 2 of the goals. So their center back had to come out, and Alt-Nouri was nowhere to be seen. So I don't know if it was an amazing performance by Chelsea or just an awful performance in the second half by Wolves. And I think it's a combination of both, obviously. But obviously, if I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm very excited, just because 6-2 away, especially after. Did you see Madueke post on Instagram?
Yeah. Do you think he meant it about Chelsea? About living? No. Sorry, about living in London?
No, because he was in Wolves. I don't know. Well, no, he was there away at Wolves. the night before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That
so
makes sense. That makes sense.
He talked about Wolves, so that's why
Okay.
the fans were booing him because, like obviously everybody saw it. And then the funny thing is like, oops, wrong account. This guy has a burner. He's posting
Just
stuff on
own
there.
up to it, man. Just own up to it.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that he was at they were at Wolves, because I was like, oh dang, why aren't they making a bigger deal out of this? Because that's not something you want to be caught saying if you're living there. But drops a freaking fantastic performance, Madueke.
Amazing. And my boy Joao Felix gets a goal.
So that's why I think Chelsea fans should be happy and excited, and that's why I rate the performance, is the fact that Chelsea have spent over $1 billion in the transfer market, and up until this point, we have said that their transfers are all shit. Not transfer, but their transfer methodology is shit. It doesn't work. It doesn't come together in a unit. Obviously, overfilled locker room. They don't get along on the pitch. I think today you saw the effect of a good Joao Felix in a good position, Pedro Neto, who's going to be very, very good for Chelsea. And so I think finally it's starting to come together where the transfers that they've gotten are like the right people now. So that's why I would be excited, because they both came on and they both had an impact. The ball that Pedro Neto played to Joao Felix, that little cutback, if you watch it in slow motion, it's amazing, because that ball, he hits it in a way that there's absolutely no bounce. It just like slides on the turf or on the grass, and Joao Felix literally just has to redirect it in. But it makes it so easy for him. And then Felix also played that ball, if I'm not mistaken, off the counter attack. Was it to Madueke maybe?
It might have been.
And they get the goals off a really, really good counter attack. But Cole Palmer, man,
Unreal.
different level. The chip on the goalkeeper, just how easy he made that look too, because it's a weird one, because it comes in bouncing off of Jackson, and he almost like hits it right off the bounce, like on the half bounce, so that it goes over. But he also has to hit it in a way that it goes over but doesn't bounce over the goal as well. So like the height that he has to put on it has to be good. Absolutely perfect finish from Cole Palmer.
The guy's just too good, man.
So that's the one contract. That's the one contract that you're happy is so long. Now that they just extended it or whatever, because he's been performing so well. But my boy Eddie's gonna be happy. I know he will. Yeah. Chelsea put in a good performance. Pep Guardiola said, give Enzo Maresca time, and you'll see that it's going to work out. He's backed him a lot. It's finally starting to come together. I did say 2 players, though. This is the big one. I said this in the recent video that we just posted. Mudryk, I think, is pretty close to finally losing the support of Maresca. Maresca, from the short amount of time that he's been there, I absolutely love that he's very honest and straightforward. And I think it's fine that when the media asks him what he thinks about a certain player, he can tell them, because because he is one of those coaches that is telling these players to their face as well. So this is not new news. I guarantee when Mudryk came off or after the game or whatever, he told them like, hey, you did not have a good performance today. It needs to be better for next game. He said recently that he's like, we're going to support, they call him Misha or whatever. We're going to support Misha. He just needs to make some better decisions. But you only get that much support until, especially when you have 42 players on your team roster, you can't be making too many of those mistakes, or you got to have some really good moments in between. So do you think Mudryk, they're finally going to give up on him, or do you think he's going to let him play another game or another 2 games and then see if he can finally, do well?
There's no way you keep him in that lineup when you have Pedro Neto on the bench coming in, making a huge difference. Joao Felix too. There's just no way. I don't see it. It just wouldn't be fair to those guys. Like, what was the message you're sending to those guys coming in and making a difference? And I get it. It's a lot easier to do it when you're up, 4-2 or whatever. So I get it. And especially coming on and everybody else is tired, and it's a lot easier. But you got to produce, man. An assist for Pedro Neto, a goal for Joao Felix, just amazing. And I was on a Twitter space with Chelsea fans when Joao Felix was signed, right before he was signed. And they put me up and said, look, you're a Liverpool fan. You have no bias in this. Like, you're not a Chelsea fan. There's nothing in this. What do you actually think about Chelsea signing Joao Felix? And I was like, Joao Felix is one of the players that I really like. I think he'll bring you guys a lot of quality, and I think he's a quality player. It's just his confidence hasn't been like where it needs to be, and it's completely normal. You don't go to play for Barcelona or Atletico Madrid if you're not a good player at all. And he had really good moments at Barcelona. He had good moments at Atletico Madrid. Like, it's just that doesn't go away. The quality stays with you. It's just your confidence, and somebody needs to work with you and be patient to get that out of you. And I think in a Chelsea team where so many pieces are coming in, he's going to be fighting for a first team football. And if not, if somebody gets injured, you have a really quality player that can come in and cover for X amount of games. So that's not, and I think that's what people misunderstand about Joao Felix. They look at him as he's a striker. I've never thought he's a striker. I don't think he's a guy that's going to get you 20 plus goals a season. He's not going to be that guy. I think he's going to be more of a 10 where he floats, finds those spaces, finds those gaps, and he's really, really creative once you give him the freedom. And then obviously the opposite argument is, well, we have Cole Palmer, well, we have Nkunku. And that's fair. But again, if you want to be a really good team, you need to have really good players on the bench as well. For squad depth, injuries happen, form dips, all those things are just part of the game. So when you can bring in Pedro Neto and Joao Felix, that's world class. I mean, Pedro Neto, how long is he going to stay fit? That's always been the question in the Premier League, because he plays 3-4 games, little injury, 2-3 games, out for 3 months. So that's been the problem. But if they can somehow keep him healthy, Chelsea are going to be scary to play against. And it sucks because I like those two players a lot. So now it's like, I want them to do well. I don't like Chelsea.
Right.
So it makes it tough.
I think the thing that Enzo Maresca is going to have to figure out is how he can put Joao Felix and Cole Palmer together, because while they're slightly different players in their like talents and abilities, they can, I think both of them, that 10 position where they're a little bit less restricted, a little bit more free flowing to float around and stuff, I think that position suits both of them. I think Palmer probably has a little bit more end product, but I do think Joao Felix is going to be a little bit more creative, and he's going to be able to find really smart passes to players, which Cole Palmer does as well, but I think Cole Palmer can finish. So I wonder if he's going to use Felix as an alternative or like as a backup, and just kind of get him off the bench, or if he's going to be able to find how to get both of those players on the field at the same time. But going back to the second player that I am not happy with, which I'm disappointed in because I thought he was going to be much better, and I thought at the beginning he was, is Caicedo. Enzo Fernandez, I think, holds his own enough. He still doesn't justify the $100 million, I don't think, Enzo Fernandez. But I don't see Enzo Fernandez making certain mistakes that are costing, that will cost Chelsea the game against big opponents. I see Enzo Fernandez just defensively not athletic enough to defend against some top-level players. You've seen it a couple times where he gets dribbled past. Last season, right after he signed, there was like, what was that one-on-one play that he had against? It was against a young player. I can't remember, from Manchester United, maybe it was. Can't remember who it was, but it was the one-on-one where he just got absolutely torched. And then I think that's been a problem for Enzo Fernandez, is that defensively he just can't keep up with some of the runners. Technically, though, I think he's good enough to kind of move the ball around, and he's playing in a little bit more of an advanced position. Caicedo, on the other hand, though, is really their true six right now. And every single game that I've seen, there's at least one play where they give him the ball, he either tries to turn into pressure or he just gets knocked off the ball, no foul, and you got 3 versus 1 or 3 versus 2 running at your goal. A team like Wolves probably won't punish you as much, but a team like Manchester City, you do that and you're going to give up a goal. That's like almost guaranteed. Liverpool, Arsenal. That's why I said I don't think Moises Caicedo is going to be a player that's going to be in your starting 11 if you really think you're going to challenge for the Premier League.
But the problem then, I think Lavia is Chelsea's best number 6. He was injured today, so he was out. And he's had injury problems himself. The whole entire year of last year, he was out. So the problem then becomes, and this is the question a lot of Chelsea fans have, if Lavia is fit and you play Caicedo next to him, Enzo's your captain. he needs to come out because he's not going to take over the 10 role instead of
No, but
Nkunku.
he can play the 6.
So you take Caicedo out.
Yeah, I think
So
you take
you
Caicedo
put
out.
Lavia and Enzo, and then
Yeah.
Caicedo's out.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I feel more comfortable with Enzo as the 6 because I think Enzo's better on the ball than Caicedo is. I'm a little bit surprised putting Enzo higher up, like in preseason and recently. He's putting him almost like as a 10.
Yeah.
I think Enzo Fernandez is just technically better. I think if you put him as a 6, you eliminate the problem of losing the ball. I think defensively he just doesn't give you the same that Caicedo maybe gives you, which is probably why he hasn't wanted to take Caicedo out. But I would, if it's between Lavia, Caicedo, and Enzo, I think Caicedo's the one that needs to get dropped.
So how do you justify $200 million players, Mudryk and Caicedo, just sit
You
on the
don't.
bench?
You admit that you suck at the transfers because it's the same thing with Mykhailo Mudryk. You can't justify. It's hard because you wish Mudryk will do well because you spent so much damn money on him. Imagine if they spent $30 million on Mudryk, you think he would be starting? I don't. I honestly think that after one of the first few performances, they would have been like, all right, this guy's going to be a bench player, going to come on, give us a spark, last 20 minutes or whatever he's going to run around. But the fact that he came in with almost $100 million price tag, they're like, dude, we spent so much money on you. You have to help us out here because we're trying to keep you on the pitch. But little by little, you're making it easier for us to put somebody else on that's worth less money or that was valued at less. But again, it's one of those things they just have to accept the failure of the transfer window or their transfer activity. However, Joao Felix and Pedro Neto are finally two good signings that I think the world of football can agree is like, okay, those are actually smart signings that are going to benefit you.
Yep. I mean, I don't know how Chelsea haven't made any signings at the center back position. I have no idea. They're giving Fofana and Colwell and all those guys like a chance to like come back to what they were, I guess. I don't know. I have no idea. That would have been like you spent $100 million on all these players, $200 million, whatever overall. I don't know how much they spent this summer, but not to look at that position specifically where it's like a must.
Well, experience is a must in that position.
Yeah.
For the most part, yeah. Like you need players with experience in there, and they had Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva maybe had a little too much experience because he got old, but I think he was even playing well when he was playing. I think you pair one of those guys up with somebody with a little bit more experience, not someone who's towards the end of their career, but like 31, 32-year-old, even maybe a little bit older center back who's proven in the Premier League. I think that's going to help them out a lot. But yes, it's crazy that they spent over $1 billion and they don't have an experienced center back
Or a true 9.
or a true 9.
I don't want to say true 9.
They have 9s.
A guy that's going to get you 30 goals.
A game-changing
world-class striker.
Yeah.
Because they could have bought... You can just buy like world-class strikers. If you're going to spend $1 billion, you can buy a world-class striker. He gets a lot of disrespect. But I like my man up top.
Nicholas Jackson?
Yes.
This game.
Even last year. I'm a big fan of Nicholas Jackson. I like him. He gets a lot of disrespect, and I know it's the goals and all that stuff. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just a guy that likes players that like strikers that not necessarily have to score you the goals, and they're going to do a lot and help you out in the build-up. They're going to help you out making those runs. They're going to be causing havoc for defenders, but not necessarily get you 30 goals. I'll be fine with that.
But there's different types of strikers, though. Like Darwin Nunez is going to be a guy that's not going to get you a ton of goals, but he's going to help in certain, like you said, certain areas of the build-up. Bobby Firmino, you guys didn't get him because he was going to score a bunch of goals for you guys, but because of the system that you guys wanted to play, he was crucial in that role. Nicholas Jackson, to me, seems like a striker that you want to get goals from. That's a striker that you brought in to try and score goals. The problem is they're inconsistent. When they're inconsistent, it's so hard because strikers go through big dips in confidence, and when their confidence is low, they go on droughts, right? We call them droughts. They don't score for a certain amount of games. And if that's the main reason why you're there, from one side of the coin, you have to support them through it because you're like, hey, don't worry, confidence is low or whatever, you're going through a drought, but we're going to support you, and then eventually you're going to get there. But you also want somebody who's going to be like Haaland, who might have like slightly bad game, but then he's still going to score 30 plus goals a season. So he's pretty consistent in that aspect. However, he did play well. Nicholas Jackson did play well for all the shit that he gets. He had a good game. Scored the opening goal in the first 2 or 3 minutes or whatever, and then gives the ball, really nice ball played to Cole Palmer for the chip. So overall, I know Wolves isn't the best team, and I know they're going through a struggle, especially after losing probably their best player, Pedro Neto. But they did play a good first half, and I think Chelsea just showed finally started showing their ability and the team is coming together under Maresca.
Yeah.
So
3 points on the road.
Let's talk about the best team in the Premier League, which is kind of ironic because I'm wearing a Liverpool shirt, but this is my coaching shirt. Arsenal played up a very difficult match that some people would have said Aston Villa were the favorites. Not because Aston Villa is better, but because Aston Villa beat Arsenal twice last year. They have a good manager. It's Unai Emery against his former club. They played away at Aston Villa, which is very hard to play at. And Arsenal come away with the win. How much do you think luck was involved versus Arsenal deserving of those 3 points?
I mean, I think we talked about it right after the game when you mentioned it was like, oh, like we got lucky because Watkins won. Well, did you see the tap in? Yeah. So Watkins missed the tap in and then missed the header. And I think in order to win the Premier League, you need to get lucky. There's just you can't not, like, it's just impossible. You need to have luck on your side. You need to get the ball bounces, maybe hits the post and just bounce it on the line and you clear it. Like those things have to go your way. And I think that's a title contending win right there because so early on to go away and play Aston Villa, and fair enough, Watkins misses those two. If he scores one of them, maybe it's a completely different game. But he doesn't. And Arsenal walk away with a 2-0 win. So yeah, and that's all that matters. In the end of the day, it doesn't matter how, especially away. Doesn't matter if he missed position.
He missed the sitter or not. You get the 3 points at the end, right?
Because then you got to go and score.
Right.
It's not like, like the goals were just given to you out of nowhere. But even if they were 2 own goals, it doesn't really matter. You still take that 3 points.
Yeah.
So in the end of the day, when you play big games or important games, because this is a big game, but it's also a very important game just because for the confidence and everything that happened from last year. It's kind of like the revenge of we're putting this back. And the reason why you guys lost last year was pretty much because of Aston Villa on the title. So when you play games like these, the result matters a lot more than the performance per se. Because you can play the worst game of your life, and if you come out with 3 points, you're like, that's what champions do. So, and you guys didn't play bad anyway. Like you guys had really good moments, really good plays throughout the whole game. So did Aston Villa. It just that game, it was just Arsenal were just the better team pretty much and got the goals.
I think I know it's early in the season, but like you said, this is one of those wins that if we do end up raising the trophy at the end of the season, we're going to say this game was a big factor in that. Because I don't think, it's rare, but I don't think that you can go an entire season, win the Premier League if you lose to the same team twice. I think you have to be able to get points off of every single team at least once, and obviously most of the teams twice. I do think it's a huge win for us, even though it's just week 2 and there's still so long left in the season. I think it's going to be a very important one. I also think if you're talking about games that are going to be important, just like last season, I think the reason why we really lost the Premier League was we went to Man City and we were happy with settling for a draw, hoping that Manchester City was going to drop points in the future, and we were okay with that. They ended up not dropping points, and then they went on to win the Premier League. So I think Aston Villa games are going to be a good one. For me, the Manchester City games are going to be really important. However, Trossard, man, that's also another good point, is that if you want to win the Premier League, you have to have really good starting 11 where every position is solid, but then you also have to have somebody off the bench that gives you a different element. And Trossard is one of those players. You put him in as sub, there's like a 50-50 chance that he's probably going to score a goal, especially the game-winning goal.
Crazy.
So
he does it too many times, man.
I know.
It's unreal.
But he's a good player, and ultimately he was a really good signing when there was a lot of question marks about his attitude when he left Brighton and kind of how he acted at Brighton right before he left. But Arteta took a chance on him, and
You guys are just signing the Brian rejects, huh? Ben White, Trossard.
yeah, I mean, so did you, McAllister.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
So everyone wants to go after Brighton. Why not?
Yeah, I mean,
you have such a good system set in place. Not even just the players, but I was listening to a podcast. They were talking about it was like the president of Brighton was on it, and he was talking about how it's one thing to lose your players because you get a lot of money from that, but it's another thing when you lose your coaching staff as well, and not just the coaching staff, like the backroom staff and some of the other people that are involved in the club, like. Wasn't Dan Ashworth?
Newcastle.
No, he was at Newcastle. Who was the one that was at Brighton that just went? It was one of the ones at Brighton that went somewhere else or something like that. But Brighton is now. Todd Bowley was calling Graham Potter, right? And he was like, "They're like, oh, we finally got a really good coach." And now Todd Bowley's calling about that, about Potter. And when Potter leaves, his staff leaves, and then it's like, not only are they trying to keep their players, but they're also trying to keep their staff as well. So that's difficult, but they've done a really good job. Brian gets respect. Brian gets respect.
If I'm one of the top teams, the first thing I do is call the Brian scouts, like, come on over, find me the same players that you're finding Brian, and get the sporting director, whoever that guy in charge is, and be like, come to the team. Just like, I don't need your coaching staff. I can find me a coaching staff. I want the people that are bringing those players in. And I just want to say, so Arsenal got Ben White and Trossard, great buys from Brian. Liverpool got Alexis McAllister, amazing, 30 plus whatever million. Then you have Chelsea,
got Caicedo,
who got 100 million for Caicedo, and the coach they already sacked and is probably still paying money for. So Chelsea got absolutely ripped from Brian compared to everybody else.
Yeah, but Brighton's got that money, man.
Not anymore. So I looked into it because somebody on Twitter posted, "How are Brian doing this? It's impossible." And I was like, it's very possible. Since 2021, they've sold over $430 million like worth of players.
It's crazy.
$430 million in 3-4 years. That is insane. And obviously this season they spent $200 million in the transfer window, which you have to. Why not? But the thing is, they're playing Football Manager. Like if I was Brian, I would be buying the same exact players they're buying. The Turkish right back, absolutely amazing. Mintig from Newcastle, he was a bit against Man United, but he's going to be a really good player. He's very raw. He reminds me of Mane in the beginning when he was just a Southampton a bit, and then became the player he was.
Mitoma. Danny Welbeck, who's been in the Premier League a long time. Those are the kind of players that like people give up on people like Danny Welbeck. Like big teams give up on people like Danny Welbeck, but teams like Brighton will be like, this guy's got a lot of experience in the Premier League and he fits into our system. And when you pair those two things together, he can be very same thing with James Milner.
Yeah.
Right? So they got something good going on there. People should definitely study what Brighton's doing.
And they just bought the Celtic guy, Matt O'Reilly.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's class. I think he's really good. So Brian might get in the top 4, man. I don't know. It's too early because the coach is so young and still learning, but I just want to play Football Manager, and like if I play Football Manager with like those signings.
The hard part about it is it's not necessarily how good you can be, but it's also how consistent you can be. That's the big one because it's a long season. If there were like playoffs like in, American sports, it would be, I think, better for teams like Brighton because you can peak at the right times and you can even drop off as long as you make it to the playoffs and then you have a good run. But teams like Brighton, typically what happens is they start the season so well and then at some point in the season they just can't get results because it's just such a long season. In order to do that consistently is very difficult, and that's how ultimately Manchester City ends up winning the league.
Consistency.
Let's move on to my favorite coach of all time, Big Ange. Tottenham. Or sorry, I meant Sean Dyche. Tottenham beats Everton 4-0. What do you make of it?
Everton is so bad.
They are.
2 games, 7 goals conceded, 0 goals scored. I tell you what, Sean Dyche gets fired after this 3rd game when they lose. I don't know who they play. I haven't looked at anything. He's getting fired.
Wow, 3 games in?
3 games in. No, there's no. It's not
because
like
it's
3 games.
really longer than 3 games, right? It's been since the end of the last season.
This is the thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm kind of like the Ten Hag situation. Keep Sean Dyche in. I'll be more than happy. Give him a lifetime contract. But I don't understand how you're the owners or the sporting director, whoever it is in charge, and you look at Sean Dyche and you're like, I'm going to keep this guy. I think we're going to have a really good season with him, especially after you were just in a relegation battle. And I know they were in there because of the deducted points, so that's fair. But that guy's like, you talk about owners who have no aspirations of doing stuff. Sean Dyche is not going to get you Europe. Like, let's be honest. Like, he might have got Burnley Europe once, maybe. They did a really good season. I don't even remember. But Sean Dyche is not going to do that. He's not going to be that type of manager. At least I don't think. I don't think he has the qualities. I don't think he has the team. I don't think,
But that's not why they want him, though. That's the important thing.
Well, they want him to just stay in the Premier League.
Exactly. And as a board, when you look at your possible coaching candidates, you can either be a team like Brighton, who goes after younger coaches, but less experienced coaches, who they truly believe in their philosophies, and they're saying, we're going to take a big risk on you and hope it pays off. For Brighton, it's fantastic. It's paid off. Graham Potter, it paid off with, and now the new coach that they have now, right? And he's 31 years old. He's the same age as me.
De Zerbi, whatever.
And De Zerbi as well, right? Yeah. Coaches who weren't super well known before, and obviously Brighton knows exactly what they want, and they get the right people. Then you got teams like West Ham, Crystal Palace, Everton.
Not Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace had
their new manager. Roy Hodgson, I know, but the new manager.
And didn't they have Big Sam Allardyce at some point back in the day as well?
Back in the maybe, and they have Vieira, but like I actually thought Vieira.
So maybe not recently, like right now. But what I'm saying is these teams typically have opted for people who are slightly less risk,
old school,
and more old school because they value the experience more. So they're like, okay, this guy has taken Premier League clubs and they've either saved them from relegation or they've kept them at a respectable position. They're never going to be the guys that are going to outclass Pep Guardiola in a match tactically, but they're guys that don't get relegated or typically help teams get saved from relegation. I call them the Band-Aid coaches because they come in, they kind of fix the ship going down long enough to keep it up for one season, and then they want to sack them after they start getting bad results the next season because they can't do it for a long period of time. But that's the problem with Everton, is that's Sean Dyche.
I don't know. Keep him there for life, but I predict, I don't know who they play. I have no idea who plays the third week, but if they lose that game, he's gone.
GG's.
I mean, it's perfect timing. You have the international break after that, so it gives the new coach 2 weeks to work with players. Half these players won't even make the international teams anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I don't know. Everton are just in a terrible spot, just an awful spot.
Yeah, and the only other one that's of importance, I guess, would say is Newcastle. So Newcastle drew 1-1 yesterday to Bournemouth, and Bournemouth isn't typically the highest, one of the better teams.
Last year they are. I like their coach, Ariola. I think he's a really good coach, but losing your best striker is going to take some time to get used to. But they're okay. By the way, did you see the VAR goal that they were disallowed? Corruption.
Another one?
Corruption, man.
Which one?
Bournemouth, last minute. Literally from a corner kick. The guy goes up for a header. It hits him in the shoulder. It goes in, and they're like, handball. Those are tough just because of the area, but...
Some of those... I wonder, how did one of the new rules play into effect?
I wasn't watching the game, but I just saw the VAR, like they were talking about it after, and it was like, they should have stood. Like, it makes no sense why it didn't. But
there's a few rules that have come into effect, which actually that's one of the things that I wanted to bring up, is we talked about this at the beginning, previous to the season, is the semi-automated offside technology is going to be coming in after the international break in September, which means for now, we still don't have it. There was a couple of plays in, which game was it? One of the games this weekend where they drew the lines. And when you draw the lines based off of the only angle that you have that's not perfectly within the lines, you forget or you miss the fact that you're drawing a line on a 2D image that if you looked at it from a different perspective, the line would be drawn at a slightly different angle because of the 3D whatever. So there was a couple that I wonder that were really close, that they stayed on sides, I think, that I wonder if they would have had the semi-automated technology, if that would have changed the...
I think it would make a big difference for the better.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Right, so it's going to be better. But that's what I'm saying. I wonder if they got it wrong this time.
Yeah.
And like, you can't tell really because you just go based off of what they're drawing on the lines. But the semi-automated technology, you'll be able to know right away. But it does give me an uneasy feeling of the fact that like, I really think you should have had that already in place.
Oh, 100%.
It's kind of weird to introduce it, even though if it's just a little bit into the season. I get it.
And how does La Liga not have goal line technology?
They don't?
I don't think they do.
It's all independent.
I mean, it's a lot of money, I assume. But
every major league...
La Liga doesn't have one of the big ones. I don't know what exactly it is. I think it is goal line technology because they have VAR, so there's nothing else.
Every league should have... I think at this point, the ones that you should for sure have are goal line technology because it doesn't take anything away from the time, celebrations, things like that. It's pretty straightforward, black and white. The semi-automated offside technology. And I think the VAR, the rules that they're making to it are supposed to be better. From now on, like some of the certain plays are now going to be only if it's obvious in error, no more subjective, controversial calls. Which, that's how it was supposed to be, right? That's what they said, but they were starting to make a lot of subjective calls that could have gone either way. I'm curious to see if that's also going to be one of those things that eventually is just going to go back to like 50-50, but they're going to make slightly the right call, where it should be leave it up to the referee. If he makes a mistake, if it's controversial, leave it. If he clearly makes a mistake that everyone can agree on, because of bring it back or whatever. They're trying to make it better. That's a good thing. They have now the other thing as well. We haven't talked about is there's a Twitter account, I believe, or social media account for PGMOL, right?
Yeah.
And so they're going to communicate officially the decisions made by VAR through social media. Terrible. Why are you shaking your head?
Why are you shaking
your head? Why?
Have you seen? Go look at the comments.
Well, of course, the comments are going to be bad, but that's what everybody wants is transparency.
Every single comment that they post, they're like, you guys are ruining the game. You guys suck, blah, 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 all this. Like, there's...
Simple. Turn off the comments.
Why go on social media and do it? Why not just announce it? They don't want to announce it because people then in the stadium will get pissed off.
Right.
So it's like the people in the stadium probably deserve more. Or you think everybody in the stadium is like, oh, let me go on Twitter to see what happened? It's like...
No, but when you think about how many people watching the game in the stadium versus how many people are in the...
Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah, if you're always going to... Like, anytime social media is involved in this, you're always going to get negative comments regardless. Like, teams will post their final scores or whatever. They'll post news, and all of their fans that want FSG out, that want Arne Slot, they're still going to be there regardless. Yeah. I think the whole idea is everyone wants more transparency. And social media is a great way to do it because that's the age that we just live in now. They can send out a tweet quickly. It circulates to everyone within a matter of 5 minutes, and boom, everyone knows what the decision is being made. I still think they should probably do it on the field.
Yeah.
They were having some technology issues in like the preseason when they were doing it, where it's like the microphones aren't working. Copa America happened a couple times where like the referee is trying to wait to see if the microphone is working and they're not sure if it's on the speaker. That just kind of became an issue.
I'm on Instagram looking at third world countries playing like Sunday League, and the guy looks at a TV of VAR, comes on the field, tells everybody what's going on around the stadium. Like, there's no way like the technology is that terrible. Yeah. Just get a damn mic, like, yo, the announcement people, they can just bring a mic, like, tell them.
But so now they do relay the information to the commentators when it's going to be like given or not given, because they'll tell you before. They'll say it's offsides or whatever. So they'll confirm the call before.
And they can hear everything the VAR people talk.
Right. So that's why they're saying it. So I think the biggest thing is just the transparency. It's important. That's what people want, whether you agree or not. I think it comes down to people are always going to disagree with the decision, whether it's right or wrong. They just want to know the thinking that goes into the decision of these referees, because oftentimes you have no idea how they came to that conclusion. And they just say like, here's the answer. And it's just like, if most of the time, some of these people don't even know the rules. Like, these people that are complaining don't even know the rules. Yeah. And then you explain it like the rule is actually written like this, and this is why we're calling it. They're like, oh, okay, well, the rule's stupid, but I get it because it makes sense. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing. But yeah, man, if you don't want people to freaking put bad comments in there or whatever, just turn off the comments. you're the social media account that they're creating isn't for back and forth conversation. It's for one-way conversation for them to just communicate the decisions out to the public, and that's it. Boom.
Fuck VAR. Get rid of that shit.
I think so. Why not? It's okay to admit that something didn't work out, even if you've had it. I think the people who are in charge or whatever, the rule makers, they care about their legacy so much. Like, oh, I'm the one that introduced VAR. I'm the one that introduced the blue card or whatever. Like all this bullshit, right? I'm the one, the Arsene Wenger offside rule. I'm Arsene Wenger and I introduced. Like,
I don't get that.
The offside?
The Arsene Wenger thing. This is, and I think me and Joe had this while you're editing the video when we went to the Fan Fest. It makes zero sense to me. Like, okay, so right now people complain. The biggest complaint about the offside is oh my God, he's only half an inch offside, and then we're gonna call that offside, the semi-automated. Well, yeah, offside is offside.
Yeah, the toes.
Yeah, the toes. So like, yeah, it sucks.
Or the armpit.
It sucks, right? It sucks when you see
Yeah.
it. It's so close. But you can't make an exception of like, oh, it's okay for this. So anyway, so that's the argument. Then you go to the Arsene Wenger thing, which his is like, oh, one step ahead, right? You're still gonna be looking
Or the whole body.
But you're still gonna be looking at the same exact precision. Nothing changes.
Yeah.
Like the same concept applies of like, oh, it's just half an inch. It's still gonna be half an inch.
Yeah.
Like it's not. There's nothing really changes.
That's what I said. That's what I said too. Because now instead of looking at the armpit, you're going to be looking at their heel.
Yeah, it's gonna be the same thing.
So it's going to be the same thing. It's like, oh, is their heel fully gone? Like it's going to be a matter of like centimeters or whatever.
Yeah.
I get that. So that's why I said if it comes to analyzing the like the correctness or the accuracy of the call, it's not going to change because it's still going to be a matter of like, is it offsides? Is it not offsides? I don't know. But I think the reason people want it is because it makes the game more interesting because now they're going to have an advantage on the defenders a lot more than they did before.
Yeah.
So now it's going to lead to more attacking opportunities, but it's also going to lead to a change in the defensive style of the teams because now you're going to have to defend. Yeah, you're going to have to defend deeper to be absolutely sure that they don't get an advantage on you.
So
I
you're
think
not
that's
really going to get that many goals anyway, technically, because if people
potentially, I think teams are still going to play the offside trap. They're just going to have to be really, really good at it.
Yeah.
But
maybe.
Some teams will change it. Some teams will defend deeper and just say, fuck it, we'll just park it on in front of our box. And
Sam Alda has shown that.
They're going to do that.
For everybody inside.
But I think people were more excited about it for the entertainment of the game.
Yeah.
Creating more chances, you know. And then Gianluigi Buffon goes on and says that the goals should be bigger.
Yeah.
Because it's harder to score goils nowadays.
Yeah, of course. When he played for 20 years, didn't say a word, but now all of a sudden he leaves and it's like, oh, I gotta change this. That's what I hate about like
Michael Phelps. Did you see what he did too? What he said?
No, what he said.
Like he's talking more about like doping in the sport and stuff, and they're like, dude, this guy was probably juiced to his gills that he's got, and like of course now when they can't test him anymore, now he's saying all these things. I don't know. I'm not gonna accuse anyone of anything, but yeah, it's hard to take people serious when they obviously it doesn't affect them, and it's also people were saying like Gianluigi Buffon is like, yeah, so you can preserve all the records that you had or whatever,
exactly,
because now they're gonna be broken.
And what like it's not like games are not entertaining. Like there's plenty of goals.
Yeah.
Like goals are everywhere. Like I don't think there was a game 0-0 this weekend.
I just wonder if they've analyzed it and they've done a study over time. And they said, okay, from let's say 1950 to 1990, how many goals were scored per game? And from, you know, whatever time span you want to do. And because if it gets to like there's an average of 1 goal per game, that's when I think we're going to start looking at like, okay, we need to find something to change, because if you're only seeing 1 goal per game, like something needs to change on a global scale.
I mean, obviously, majority of the time I'm watching the Premier League, but even La Liga in Italy, maybe it's a lot less because they're more tactical in terms of like defending and all that stuff. But Premier League, I feel like we see a crazy game once or twice a weekend of like, wow, what the hell just happened? Yeah,
I don't think it's a problem yet, but I wonder if it will be in the future. And I don't think it really will.
I mean,
I don't think it really will. Teams can only get so good, and if they get good if they get better on the defensive side, they also get better on the attacking side. So I think it balances itself out.
I also think they've changed the rule about throw-ins. people's legs are up in the air every single time now.
But nobody's communicated a decision on that. I haven't seen
Maybe
the
they
change
have.
anywhere.
I don't know.
I haven't
but
seen the change
I
anywhere.
see the leg up all the time now.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's a bad throw. Oh no, never mind. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody's calling it.
It's crazy because if they have changed it, they need to start changing it everywhere else too.
Yeah.
Youth games, like international, like everywhere. But they still haven't changed it
Also,
as far as I'm concerned.
one more thing that pisses me off. I hate the fact that when there's offside, the referee knows it's offside. It's clear it's offside. They let the play go for like 20 seconds. And somebody, I think, got hurt because of that, and literally in the first game of the weekend.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. It is the dumbest thing in the world. Like, I get you want VAR to come in and save you in case you're right or wrong, whatever it may be. But you're putting player safety at risk. Like, this is not, like, you're putting their lives in danger. You're putting, like, one tackle away from never playing football again. Like, then who takes the blame? It makes no sense to me why. Like, especially,
Yeah, but because
it's been 2 years now. And if people, I don't think there's anybody for it. Like, it hasn't, like, nobody's come out and be like, oh yeah, I love the fact that we're playing 20 seconds later and like,
Yeah,
people
but
get hurt.
it's one of those things that if they do call it and it is onside and somebody scores, there's going to be an uproar of why didn't you just let it play and wait until VAR checked it, because now you ruined an opportunity for that team to score or whatever.
Yeah, but some of them are like at half and the guy still has to sprint 50 yards. By the time he gets there and it's like offside. It's like,
Yeah.
bro.
They're being extra careful, I think,
Yeah.
which is a problem because yes, it leads to injuries and collisions and things like that. Anytime there's an offsides in play, there's oftentimes some sort of a 50-50 ball,
Yeah.
whether
for the most
goalkeeper,
part, yeah.
defender, whatever. But I don't know. I'm not a rule maker. I'm not part of the board or whoever does the rules or whatever. You aren't either. We're just out here complaining.
Listen, I hate referees.
You do.
That's all that matters.
You absolutely do.
I got a yellow card today.
Did you really?
Yeah. No, to be fair, the referee deserves to be yelled at.
The referee makes like $20 a game.
Well, I
in
don't,
the
I don't
Sunday
care.
league.
I know, but it pissed me off. Listen, I put the ball down to play quick, right? Like, we're on the counter. The guy follows me, grabs my jersey, whatever. I put the ball down. He kicks it away. I grab it again. He kicks it away again. And I'm like, ref, you can't do that. Like, give him a yellow card or something. And he's like, no. And then he did it 3 more times after somebody else, the same guy. And I'm like, dude, fuck off. And then, what'd you say? I said, fuck off. And then,
Should have been a red card. Can't talk to a referee like that. It's verbal abuse, my friend.
that's a fair. That is true. Even though I didn't even say that.
Unbelievable.
Damn. Crazy.
So I said this in one of the videos, but just to kind of recap, I have a strong feeling that this might be the most entertaining Premier League season we've seen in a long time. Games have been good so far. You got teams who are playing, like Chelsea's coming back. Liverpool's coming back after that bad season, again, competing once again. Arsenal, hopefully finally over the hill now. So now you got more teams pressuring Manchester City. And just the games that we've seen, like I said, Chelsea having an interesting match. Like, not an interesting match, sorry. Chelsea having a really good, dangerous match where they looked really good in the attack. Haven't seen that in a while. Manchester United, entertaining match. You can say whatever you want, Georgie. I know you love Ten Hag for the wrong reasons. They played entertaining football the last 2 games. I've been watching them closely. And even Liverpool, like a season or 2 ago, people were saying that they were playing pretty boring football.
Yeah.
When
changed.
when Mane left, it was different. Manchester United. So all I'm saying is that there's some good football being played where now I'm looking forward to the games, and I'm watching some good games regardless of whoever it is that I'm watching, where typically I haven't been able to say that.
That's right. You've been watching the wrong games, my friend.
But before we end this podcast, we do have to give shout outs to our Fantasy Premier League Players of the Week. Can I give a shout out to myself? Because I played it brilliantly this week.
I honestly have not looked.
I got myself out of the relegation battle into the top 80, which is great because now I'm like mid-table.
Let me see. Let me try.
All right. So the top 3 right now, number 1 is slotted in the corner, Derek Smalls. He had 122 points this week and 183 overall. So he didn't have the greatest week 1, but fantastic
comeback, huh?
Fantastic comeback in week 2. Nick's Tape FC, which is Victor R. He's at 95 this week with a total of 175. And Rich James, Rags to Riches, is in third place with 93 this week, 174 overall. Where are you at? You're pretty high up.
Bro,
I'm gonna let you know where you're at.
I'm
you're,
sixth.
You're like sixth. Yeah, I noticed that.
What?
So Georgie is tied for sixth with 170 points overall. Out of 100 and what do we have? 160 something people.
Yeah.
Whoa. I don't know where Joe is. I'm gonna have to find him somewhere in the middle of the pack. But I do know where I am.
No, we gotta find Joe. I'm gonna find Joe.
Find Joe
because what's his name? I don't even know, to be honest.
Joe D's top team or something like that. Coach Javi Academy, out of the relegation battle, ladies and gentlemen, 88th place. I had 35 points in week 1. I came back with 100 points, one of the highest totals. I think I might have had like the third highest total.
Wait, how many points did you get in this week?
100 flat. So 100.
How did I beat you?
100, because you had Salah.
Yeah, but you had Cole Palmer.
Yeah, I don't know. I think most of my other
players. I had
did.
102.
I don't know. But anyway.
I need to find Joe D because...
I'm happy because I'm out of the relegation battle.
I think Joe D didn't show up today because he saw how well he did and he was scared to face you.
I definitely have passed him, I believe.
Can you imagine if Joe was the last one right now?
Let's actually look at the last place because we do have to give shout outs to the last place as well.
Hey, Kenny's out of there too.
Kenny's out of there. So third to last is Slot Ball with 90 points overall, Valentine Abbey. All right. Second to last is Wood Forest FC with 56 points overall, Andrew Magana, but I think he only started playing in game week 2 because he didn't. He had 0 points. So that's why. And then same thing with Mandog Matthew McCaw. Mandog, our boy Mandog.
What a G.
But 42 points in week 2. So they must have just started playing in week 2. If you guys want to join us, you still can. Obviously, if you have a fantasy Premier League team, it's a long season, so you could still catch up. All the links are in the description to join our league with the invite code. So go ahead and join us. And we will be giving out some merch for the top 3 at the end of the season, and probably at some point during the season we will be giving out a couple of things as well to some of the top performers.
He's 54th right now.
So Joe's higher than me.
He has 144 points total. He had 75 this week.
Well done, Joe. Well done.
And you are in what place?
I'm like 88th or something like that. I'm okay with that after week 2. After my...
Oh, you're only like 9 points away from him.
Yeah. It's closer in those points. But we're getting there. We're coming back. I made some better decisions. I got some more tricks up my sleeve. I think I'm going to get into the top third for sure in game week 3. We'll see. It's also a timing thing because you have certain players, like everyone has preferences, right? So you probably maxed out on the Liverpool players, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with Arsenal. But the moment that they play against each other, somebody's going to drop points. So like that's where it's difficult. You almost have to work the transfer market really, really well to like every week make one transfer out that will help you kind of balance everything in accordance to when they're going to play and who they're going to play at that time. But
it's okay because we're going to stop playing in 2 weeks. Doesn't really matter.
That's right. Everybody gives up halfway through the season. Yeah. But no, we have to continue. We have to continue it throughout the whole season. We'll see if we can do that.
We got to get top 3. We give prizes to each other.
We'll be if we get top 3, it's because we're the only 3 that kept playing.
Yeah, that's literally the only reason. No, there's some people that are like diehards about this.
Yeah, we should get a trophy. Why don't we think of that? Why don't we make the Next Goal Wins podcast trophy? Whoever wins at the end of the season, we ship it out to them.
Yeah, it's
not a bad idea.
It's not like anybody really knows what the prizes are yet anyway. But
at least,
that'd be dope.
So I can put it back here with the rest of my collection here. Cool, but that's it. We're recapping week 2. Fantastic week in the Premier League. Looking forward to week 3. Georgia, you got anything before we
I'm
close
just
it
so
out?
excited for the international break.
No, you're not excited because you're not going to be excited when coming back from the international break, Liverpool plays at 7:30.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I hope that's not true. I haven't checked, but it honestly probably is true at this point.
Cool. Well, that's it for this one. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Another episode in the books. We will catch you guys all in the next one. Peace.